Hey you, I'm Bill with Honest Open Permaculture Hop Farm. I want to show you guys what we're growing in the garden right now, and specifically what I had to do to actually get some green beans growing this year. So let's start down here at the southeastern edge of the garden area. I do not have, as you can tell, any row covers over this row right now, and let's show you what's in there. So this whole row right here is a row of leafy greens, collards, couple different varieties. Over here we have some brassicas underneath this little tunnel. Let's show you what's going on in here. We've got some Brussels sprouts, and then on down the row we've got cabbages and broccolis. There we go. Right beside it, we're killing off this row of the weeds with this tarp. And then we get into our squashes that are still going strong. Even though it's the end of the summer and going into fall right now, these squash are rocking and rolling. I think it's because it's the variety of squash that it is. Can anyone guess what variety of squash has been resistant to the squash bugs, has been resistant to the powdery mildew, and is still putting off fruit like crazy? It's not a common squash. Anybody? Okay, I'll show you one, and I'll still give you some time to guess. Oh, wait, what's that right there, guys? Goodness gracious. Can you see it? It's a huge one. So let me see if I can find some more for you. Oh, there's another little one starting to grow right here. Let's see if we can find some more. Oh, here's some more down in there. This squash can get up to 3 feet long and more than 6 inches in diameter. Anybody? Anybody? Okay, I'll show you one more. You got a few more seconds to guess. Put that down in the comments. What do you think it is? This one over here is a monster. Nope, not that one. That's a little baby one. This one back here. Humongous. Anybody? Anybody? Come on, guys. If you guessed Trombone Squash, you're correct. It is an Italian squash that does great with the squash bugs, does great against the powdery mildew, and puts off tons of fruit that are huge. What's really cool about that trombone is that trombone squash also is you can eat it at any stage. You can eat it as a summer squash or a winter squash. The summer squash varieties taste a lot like a zucchini. The winter squash are getting more into like a butternut squash type squash. So you can let it cure on the vine, it'll last all winter, or you can eat it fresh right now and it tastes like a zucchini. Very cool, very versatile plant that I would recommend any homestead getting. Trombone Squash. Find you some seeds, get them. Trust me, it's worth it. Next, right beside the trombone squash, all the squashes, is our green beans. Yes! Now guys, you may not know, but I have been fighting to grow green beans all year long. This is my 4th or 5th planting of green beans. I started back in May. Actually, the end of April is when I actually started. Our last frost date here should be April 12th through April 14th, somewhere in that range. So I planted some beans at the end of April thinking we'd be good. Guess what happened May 12th through 15th? 3 days of frost, and it destroyed my green beans. That was the first planting of green beans. So I didn't let it bother me, and I just said, okay, all right, we need to just plant again. Same place, same spot, no reason to change it up. That's where I was gonna grow my green beans. Planted again. A week later, they started popping up, started looking good. I come out one morning to look at them. Every single leaf taken off. Every single one of them. Eaten down to a nub. I'm like, all right. I didn't have any of this around it. I didn't have electrical netting. I didn't have the hoop houses, nothing. So I said, okay, let's try moving to a different spot. So I have another garden, the halfway garden you guys have seen before. I planted a ton of green beans, 3 rows, 50-foot rows of green beans. It's like, cool. Different spot, different area. Maybe the wildlife won't see it. Wrong. About 2 weeks into that, same thing. They ate all the leaves, ate all the stalks down to the nubs. Like, great, great. That was my 3rd planting. My 4th planting, my buddy Corey came to stay with me for a week to help me out, learn how to do some stuff, get his hands dirty, and we planted these exact 3 rows right here with green beans. Later, it was later in the year, so I figured, you know, green beans hadn't been back here in a while. The animals don't know they're gonna be here. We'll be good. I didn't put up the row covers, but I did put up the fence just to keep the deer out. Didn't work. Week and a half after, you know, week and a half later after we planted them, they popped up, leaves looking beautiful. Deer and bunnies come through, wipe them out completely. So this is my 4th planting of green beans, and I wasn't gonna let them beat me. I think that's the message I wanna get through to you guys on this video is, something's gonna be hard, don't let it beat you. See, we eat a ton of green beans here in our house. Almost probably every other meal we're having green beans as a side. So just to throw in the towel and say, oh, they won, that wasn't an option for me. I wasn't gonna let them win. Sometimes when times get tough, the going gets hard, what you really need to do is just buckle down and keep going. Keep plugging along. You know, you've heard that expression, don't do the same thing over and over and over again expecting different results. That's the definition of crazy. I don't know if I agree with that 100%, because I will do the same thing over and over and over again until I get good at it. That's not crazy. That's getting good at something. That's perfecting something. That's learning. This is my 5th time planting beans. If I followed, oh, don't do the same thing over and over again, or you're crazy, then I wouldn't have kept planting beans. And without a doubt, we're going to get a huge harvest of beans now, because I didn't quit and I did the same thing over and over again. Yes, maybe add a little bit here and there, maybe tweak the plan here and there. As you do the same thing over and over again, you learn what is working and you learn what is not working. So that's what I kind of disagree with that saying, and you're not crazy by doing the same thing over and over again. You're learning. Well, I'm learning. You should be learning from it. Let me show you what I learned here. Protect the heck out of your green beans. So after I put the electric fence up and they took everything out, I was like, all right, cool. I have to cover these beans or else I am not gonna get a crop of beans this year. To me, that's not acceptable. So we turned this into the Fort Knox for beans. We have an electric fence going along here so the deer and the bunnies won't wanna mess with it. And then I just open these up so I can get in there and do some weeding. I put the row covers over so nothing else can get in there. So it's got a double layer of protection. And so far, check this out. It's weedy, but it is rocking and rolling, guys. We have beans, beans, beans all over the place. And here's the before. I'll give you an after at the end, because what I'm gonna be doing is coming in here and doing some weeding. I'll weed these out a little bit so they can have all the nutrients and the grass and the weeds aren't catching the nutrients from the ground. Oh, we also still have a ton of tomatoes all over the place. 3 rows. Still putting off tons of tomatoes all over the place. Also right in front of the tomatoes here, we still have a few more melons. I've collected most of them. They're almost all completely overgrown. We've got some cantaloupe melons. This one's almost ready to be harvested. You can tell if a cantaloupe melon's ready to be harvested when, look in between these webbings, when you look really close. See how it's still a little green in there? And you got some spots that are kind of orange, yellow. You want the whole thing to be orange or yellow, or most of it to be orange or yellow before you take it off the vine. The green in between tells me it's not ready yet. Count my green or get in between. If you know where that's from, put that down in the comments. We should be friends. What I'm gonna do now is just pretty much take an hour or so and do some weeding in the green beans. Let's do it. Let's show you what I was doing. Now we don't need a perfect weed. Like, what do I mean by that? We don't need to weed this perfectly. We don't need to take every single weed out. The plants are at the point right now where they're gonna do pretty well, even if I didn't weed it. But by me weeding it right now, it's gonna let these bean plants take up most of the nutrients that it needs, and it won't have to fight against the weeds to get its nutrients. So I'm just doing a light weed. I don't have to take every single thing out of it for these green bean plants to produce a good amount of green beans. Let's give you a close-up look and show you. All right, so I was picking the weeds, and some of them I would just drop in the row so they can decompose and put whatever nutrients it stole from the ground back into the ground. A lot of them I like to put in the pathway. That helps block out weeds that are gonna grow in the pathway. They will also decompose in the pathway, and through mycelium and the symbiosis of plants, this nutrients in the pathway can still get into the bed and help these plants out. So as you can tell, I didn't get perfect. As you can tell, there's still some grass and weeds in here, but mostly you just see the green bean plants. Let's jump over here and show you a difference. Boom, see, it just looks like a big old jungle in this one. And over here, you can actually tell, you can see in between plants. Oh, I missed a little bit back there. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just giving these guys a little bit of leg room so they can suck up more nutrients and start to put on pods and flowers. They're almost at that stage. I'm not gonna make you guys watch me do these other two rows. I just wanted to show you guys how I weeded, when I weeded, why I weeded. If you know when to weed your beds, you don't have to weed every single day. You can weed before you plant. This is how I did this one. I weeded out really well before I planted. There's pretty much nothing in it. It was tarped. So it killed all the weeds, and we came through and pulled all the weeds out. And then I planted in a weed-free bed. Weed-free bed. Then I let everything just go. I didn't mess with it at all until right now. Now I'm coming back in because I know the beans are about to go to flower, and I know they're gonna need some nutrients when they go to flower and start producing fruit. So I came through and took out its competition so it could have anything it wanted. It won't have to fight for the nutrients it needs to make the beans. So we'll do the same thing over here. So don't let weeding get you down, guys. Don't be like, oh no, I have to weed every single day. Think about it, plan it. You can weed 2 or 3 times per bed, still have weeds in your bed, and still have a good production. I know you'll hear all the time, oh, you get better production if you don't have any weeds. Don't have any weeds. So a lot of people just sit there and think, okay, I can't have any weeds. Okay, I can't, no weeds. Oh my God, there's a weed popping up. Oh my God, they're taking over. I can't handle it. And then they get stressed out because they're doing it every day. They're fighting it every day. Plan it out a little bit. Weed your bed at the beginning. Weed your bed right before fruiting. And then as you pull everything out, you can weed it again then to be able to put the next stuff in. I just want to say thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that thumbs up. It really helps us out. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Ooh, and when you do, hit that little bell notification. It'll let you know every time we put a video up. Later, y'all.